Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be playing Pyke, and I'll be facing against the Volibear adventure from the Titans of Runeterra campaign. I figured since I need to beat this adventure with a Bilgewater champion, I should use one I haven't really been using a lot, at least lately. So I chose Pyke for that reason. I think it will be interesting. Most of the lurker cards are rather cheap and low statted, so it's probably going to be a bit more of a challenge, especially considering the Land of Giants modifier. The idea is just going to be try and pick large units that have lurk on them and try to grow them as if they were lurkers normally. The setup I'm running on Pyke is still the same one. No variety there. Deadly Harpoons, so we have more deaths from below. And then Stalker's Blade, so when Pyke does get summoned, he immediately gets leveled up. Yeah, let's get to it. Chilling Prophecy, Afterlife Forbidden, Overprepared. Nah, none of these are good. We need something that carries us throughout most of the first part of the run. None of these are that great either. Power Overwhelming. We are going to grow my units by an extra +1/+1 when we lurk. Combine that with the Power Overwhelming, my units just might end up too massive for the opponents to deal with. And if that's the case, I'll be in a very good position. But it will take a bit till we get there. Yeah, things are already starting to look kind of bad. Bloodbait and Bone Skewer for a costing extra is not good for us. At least the Monster Harpoon is relatively decent. This Sharkling is too expensive. Normally the biggest challenge with Pyke is surviving the earlier stages of the game when your units are not really that big, until the point where you can play Pyke and Pyke just clears all of the opponent's board, and going from there you can normally close out the game, but it's a very big struggle till we reach that point. That's the main problem with Pyke. At least here we can drop down Pyke at any given moment, because Pyke is only 3 cost, and the deaths from below will also only be 3 costs. But that's the only plus side. Who knows if that will be relevant when all of my cards are at a higher cost than they should be. Well, that was a very simple and easy Pyke level up. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe things will be an absolute curb stomp like they have been so far. At the very least, the Monster Harpoon is a lot more playable than it is normally. Most of the time you just end up cutting the Monster Harpoon right away, because it's such a clunky card to use. Clunky, no. Awkward, because of the cost. Jump Attacker. I have to remember right, because the Tasty Fae Folk doesn't have lurk, it won't count as a lurker even though its cost is only 3, because the Lion Weight only cares about current costs, and the Little Titan is going to increase the Tasty Fae Folk's cost by 1. So I have to go for the Trump Attacker here no matter what, because otherwise I'll end up with a dead card in my deck. You don't want dead cards, you want cards that are consistently able to proc lurk. Likewise, we don't want weapons in our deck, equipments, because they won't proc lurk. Why just take Victor? If I could get some spiderling in my deck, it could be interesting because the spiderlings would have lurk. Actually, no. Lion Weight gives allies everywhere lurk, so the spiderlings will get lurk. So Elise is the correct bucket here. Because both the spells will have lurk, Elise has lurk by default. And then the spiderlings will have lurk. So hopefully we will be able to just summon board after board of very large spiderlings. At least that's the plan. Let's toss everything. I'll keep the Trump Attacker and the Sharkling, I suppose. This in my opening hand is nice, especially because of the Power Riff. Now I can go for Elise for one, if need be. I'd prefer it if the opponent would pass priority, or if I would pass priority to the opponent just so they place something and I can target it with the Vile Fist. But it probably won't happen though. I mean, they could place something. They will place something. Let's just do it.
We feast tonight, Bard.
Then we do this. That thing gets the tough keyword. Yep. But at least now we go for Elise for free.
There's nothing to fear.
My game plan is just going to be doing this. If he kills Elise, it's fine. I don't care. He's not going to kill the Elise. That's an interesting decision. I figured he would target Elise right away. Normally the opponents hate champions,
Bard will have the first fight.
so they try to remove them right away. I guess not this time though.
We must all make sacrifices.
Ooh, death from below. I wonder if that's a board clear. Yes, it is. Lucky me. In that case, I'm definitely going for the death from below. I was worried for no reason, apparently. Well, at least so far, the opponents haven't really been putting up that much of a challenge. Spiderlings grow nicely just after 2 attacks. I guess the combined power of our baseline power and the power overwhelming is enough to completely shut out most of the opponent's ability to contest the board, because the units just end up being too high stated. Each round, the first time you play a unit, summon an ephemeral copy of it attacking. That's just perfect to proc lurk on the opponent's turn. And then I even have They Who Endure in order to get a large unit. My units aren't really dying all that much, so They Who Endure won't grow that large. Maybe the Crackshot Corsair would be better. Or maybe even the Nagake Boros. Yeah, let's go for the Nagake Boros. It's a fearsome, it has regeneration, it's large, it's going to be basically free. Seems decent enough. Vile Feast, summoning beacon, summon a follower with my cost from your regions. Even more board presence from the Vile Feast. I'll take it. I'm definitely going to need the extra board presence when I deal with Malphite. That will clear all of my units on the first turn. Or he will stun all of my units on the first turn. Actually, that wouldn't be that bad. Now clearing all of my units on the following turns, or staying all of my units on the following turns. Now that might be a bit of a problem.
I know what lurks in the shadows.
Let's do this. That way we get an extra spiderling. That's fine. Just do a nice 1 damage to the opponent's units. I want to trade the Elise. No, not really. I guess I can do this. Just ensure that thing dies. That's fine. Next turn we're just going to go for Zerzareth, most likely. Proc Lurk. Wait, why did 2 units get pulled from my deck? Was it because I was going for 2 free attacks? I don't understand. Well, there's no point in understanding either, because the opponent's just basically dead here. What is he going to do when I attack with everything like this? Yeah, let's do it.
From the darkness.
It burdens the spiderling, but by this point in the game, the spiderlings are not relevant enough. I'm starting to feel like this adventure can either be the easiest experience of all of them or the hardest. And it's all depending on the bosses themselves. Because if you get lucky and either the Volibear or the Malphite don't have removal, then you just play an extremely easy game against them, where you just overwhelm them with whatever your game plan is. But if they do have removal and your deck relies on keeping a select few of units on the board, then you just end up getting screwed, because all of a sudden you will run out of value, because the opponents will just shut down everything you're doing. There goes my free attack. I can go for the Snapshot Swarm. Yeah, sure. It was either that or the Elise. I'd rather that than the Elise. Okay, the opponent's using his removal on units that are ephemeral, so they'll die at the end of the turn anyway. And there goes my Elise. Okay, that's a bit more annoying. Well, at the very least I can do this setup so that next turn I can go for the Devour of the Depths and clear the Malphite with this effect. Okay, he's developing landmarks. That's not usual. Normally the opponent just doesn't develop landmarks, instead he has a full hand of removal spells or a full hand of units with no in between. That's a nice variety. That's a problem. If I do this, does the board get cleared? Yep. Well, then I'm playing Death from Below then. Turns out Pyke with extra stats is incredibly easy to level up. The next turn... Actually, I won't be able to close out the game next turn because two of my units will be stunned. Actually, more. I forgot about the part where it's not just the extra units or just the units that will be stunned normally. It's also the ones that get stunned off the Eye of the Horak. Well, at least next turn I can go for the Sharkling and close out the game. Because the opponent just has landmarks and nothing else. That's a bit redundant. Stunning a unit that's already stunned. Doesn't matter though, because I still have one last unit in hand to close out the game. Liz or Pyke? Or do I want to reroll? None of the items here are that appealing. Let's reroll. Excavator's Charge, Spell Shield. Let's go for the Spell Shield on Pyke. Makes it even harder to kill the Pyke. Just in case the Volibear will have some sort of removal for Pyke. Also, I'm picking up Overwhelm there for obvious reasons. All of my units are massive and I'm not going to pick up Overwhelm. What kind of madman would do that? Now my games should close out, or should end even faster, with me closing them out because of the Overwhelm on all of my massive units. Let's go Vile Fist into Elise. That way we get a full board of units actually. Yeah, let's go for Vile Fist into Elise. One of my units is going to be burned though. Never mind. It won't be because the opponent's threading to both of them for some reason. I guess he really values his life total, maybe? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's keep overwhelming the opponent. Also, let's do this. Deny the draw from the Grave Companion, while at the same time protecting Elise. Just in case something bad happens. His units are also growing. Is this the first time an opponent survived past the first turn? Not sure. Let's do Zerzareth, sure. Let's get that going. There go two of the opponent's units. Let's play Lord Eldred, I suppose, just to protect my units in my Nexus. Then we go for the Earthshaker, just so we don't close out all of the games with either Elise or the Pyke. Ooh, you actually don't close out the game here. Interesting, interesting. I guess I have to go for Elise then. Let her attack and generate a massive Spiderling. It's still not enough to close out the game. The opponent's surviving a lot. I definitely didn't expect that. And the board they're developing is very scary. Well, at the very least only one of his units has Overwhelm. That's the upside. Let's just kill him here. Depends on whether or not he blocks this Sharkling. Okay, blocks the Sharkling. Yeah, let's that go through. Let that go through. Get rid of one of... Actually, the single overwhelm unit on the opponent's board. Never mind, it's no longer the only overwhelm unit on the opponent's board. Well, this is still okay. We're removing most of the opponent's board. Remove most of the opponent's board. Now I can do this. Develop a board of my own. I was about to say, and we will be able to close out the game next turn, but now that's not that much of a certainty, because the opponent has enough units on board to match my board. Well, I'm still just going to do this. Let's do this. Try to close out the game this way. Generate a free attacker off of that. Then I would still be able to go for either the battering ram or the Earthshaker as a sort of final finisher. But damn, that opponent held off for a long time. Definitely didn't expect that. I guess, yeah, surely it's the card that's already in my deck and nothing else. Especially considering one of those cards was an equipment. And we all know how bad the equipments actually are in this deck, at least. They won't get drawn like spells, and they won't get pulled onto the board like followers. So they're just dead draws, and they don't even proc lurk. Do I want to cut the Brood Awakening? I haven't seen it a single time this entire run. I'm not sure what I should cut here. Cutting the Sharkling is not ideal, because I'm pretty sure the overwhelm is on the other Sharklings is tied to this Sharkling. Same thing with the little Titan. The Bone Skewer, maybe? It's the only 2-cost card, or the only card that costs 3 or less than 3 actually. Maybe that's the play. We cut the Bone Skewer. I hope nothing bad happens from me cutting the Bone Skewer there. Treacherous Terrain. I guess. It's just a generally good power. Let's pick up another item for a card that's already in my deck. Heart of the Fluff or Draklord Inquisitor. I'm filling up to the challenge. Let's go for the Draklord Inquisitor. I think that's a harder fight. Sharkling, Petty Officer, Nagake Boros. I'll keep this and... nah. Let's toss the Sharkling and the Petty Officer back. I'll keep the Nagake Boros just because I can play it first if I wanted. But with Elise on board, that's not something I... Nah, let's go for the Nagake Boros. That way we get a rather large tentacle. Ooh, we even got an Earthshaker. That's massive. Draklord Inquisitor, okay. That's fine. Summon another unit. Summon the Elise because I intend to attack with it. Get another Spiderling going. Unfortunately, the Earthshaker won't proc Impact. But I got what I wanted, the opponent block with the Dark Lord Inquisitor. Now it dies to the Monster Harpoon. Look at that, Monster Harpoon actually being useful. That's a rarity, at least in this deck. Oh. There go most of my units. Let's go for Trump Attacker. Buff up my board a little bit, at the very least. Let's obliterate that. Try and keep the board as clear as possible so that next turn I just close out the game with what I have on board. There's no way the opponent has a way to protect himself here. At least I hope. Let's attack like this. 109 damage. He needs to have a frostbite for every single unit. Otherwise he loses, and obviously he didn't have frostbite for every single unit. That would be way too big of a statistical improbability. Radiant plate armor. Sure. Radiant plate armor just means +3/+3 in this adventure. All of these spells are terrible though. Crumbling Sands maybe. That's a maybe. Yeah, let's pick up the Crumbling Sands. Worst case scenario, it's obliterate the unit, draw a card for 3 mana. That's nice. And for the last cut, I suppose I'll cut the Brood Awakening. Even though it's a board in a box, I haven't actually played it a single time. I'm not even sure I've seen it a single time too. Maybe it doesn't even exist in my deck, and it was... that removal was just a placebo effect. Ooh, finally we get Pyke in our opening hand. It's been a while. Though Pyke is not exactly the kind of champion you want in your opening hand. Because I would rather have him on the deck so he could be turned into a death from below. Ah, it's fine. Let's remove the Usgar the Ancient right away. Let's give that thing vulnerable so we can kill it with the Trump Attacker. Never mind. I should have figured the opponent had removal on board or in hand. Now I'm in a bit of a pickle. I could go for the Pyke. The Pyke that's ephemeral wouldn't be that great though. Let's go for the Sharkling instead. Wait, what did we hit here that didn't proc the... No, that's way too weird. What do I have in my deck that doesn't proc Lurk? I was fully convinced that everything procced Lurk. Fortunately, I have 2 deaths from, or I have death from below with Elixir of Sorcery. Otherwise, I would be forced to take all of this damage. Ouch. Taking the 4 is still not great. Let's see what we draw here. What's in my deck that's messing things up? When did this happen? You mean to tell me this thing was in my deck this entire time? It was messing with Lurk and I just didn't hit it a single time so far? Well, I don't deserve to complain about my luck today. Yeah, sure. Remove my board. I'll accept it. Mostly because I've had extreme amounts of luck so far. Anyway, let's go for the Devourer in the depths. Just still 17 to the opponent's Nexus twice. I said deal 17 to the opponent's Nexus twice. I want to Monster Harpoon that. Yeah, sure, let's keep the opponent starved of a board. Though now he's going to start summoning a unit per turn. Wasn't this a summon effect? Did they nerf this to a play effect because it was too good with War Mother Skull? That might be it. Or it was too good off of the other spell, Clash of the Titans. Anyway, let's drop on the Zerzaret. Get even more damage going. Ooh, the opponent survives this. Even clears one unit off of the board. He's holding on. Didn't expect that. But this is still lethal unless he has an additional form of Frostbite. He doesn't. Ooh, we won. Okay, that last encounter was actually a bit more challenging than I wanted it to be. Though it was mostly because of my own folly. I could have just attacked with everything and not let the opponent cast a big I don't remember the name of Volibear's champion spell that clears my that cleared my entire board. But I was under no threat of losing there. At least that's what I would like to think. So yeah, that will be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Till then.